And with that, we welcome you into St. Paul and St. Catherine University, the campus, the Butler Center. Today, MIAC women's basketball is on the air. A St. Paul showdown as the Wildcats host the Hamline Pipers. Let's get you downstairs, get into our pregame show. But before we do that, we want to thank our sponsors. Matt Nelson alongside engineer Glenn Thompson. As always, we welcome you. Sodexo Education, Push Pedal Pull, Midwest Vending, U.S. Bank, TJ Broadcast Services, Ellsmore Swim Shop, Shepco, DRL Group, the Cone, Loeffler, Best Western Plus Hotel at the Mall of America. Good time of year to be out there with Christmas fast approaching. Rachel Construction, McGo, and Dolan. Let's keep the pregame show chugging along with Sean. Pipers and Cats, women's basketball in the MIAC is on the air. Matt Nelson with you, TJ Sports Online. As always, in our Wildcat pregame show, we head downstairs into the coach's office and catch up with Sean Pinkerton. Coach, before we talk about Hamline today, let's roll back the clock to earlier this week and the game against Bethel. Had a lead early, lost that lead, and eventually Bethel ended up on top in that one. What were some of your takeaways from that game?
Yeah, one of the things we've been stressing with the team for a while now is finishing possessions on the defensive end of the floor, and I thought that really hurt us. We struggled with their size on the interior, and they shot a heck of a lot of free throws. So I think the final score was something like 76-61. You go back and you look at it, I think they scored 24 points at the free throw line and 44 points in the paint. That was 68 points. And so that was really the story of the game. We needed to do a better job keeping them off the boards, defending the interior, and defending without fouling.
Yeah, they got plenty of good size. There's no doubt about that. Rebounding was pretty tilted towards Bethel. What do you make of this team's rebounding for St. Kate's so far this year? It's one of those all hands on deck kind of rebounding teams because there's no one person. You look at Bethel, Porupski, she can rebound, whatever, but with this team you got Shea, Kennedy, Lee, Horsch rebounds a little bit. Audra's a good rebounder for a guard. What have you made of this team's effort on the boards?
We've been really disappointed with our ability to defensive rebound the ball. I think we're giving up like 16 offensive rebounds a game, which is just an astronomical number. For us, honestly, what I think it is through the first 5 games of the season, Shea hadn't played in a game and was averaging 18 minutes a game. Lachey Holt had over 40 more defensive rebounds than any other player in the conference last year. So she's clearly the best defensive rebounder in the conference, and so to have her on the floor 18 minutes a game for only 4 of the 5 games through the first 5 games, I think attributed a lot to that. We got to keep her on the floor, and she's got to finish possessions for us.
She's playing something like 20 minutes a game this year. Is it just finding a way? What can you do as a coach to keep her out of foul trouble?
We've talked frequently about the adjustments that she needs to make to prevent from fouling on the defensive end of the floor, and she just needs to get comfortable consistently playing that way. It's just going to take repetition and her committing to that change.
You guys have Hamline today. This is a good matchup. They lost in overtime against McAllister in their MIAC opener. They've had a tough season up until this point. They don't appear to be a very deep team. A couple of scorers kind of doing the bulk of the scoring for their team. I know you won't miss seeing Salmons wearing that red, that scarlet of the Pipers. What do you make of this year's version of Hamline?
I think they're a really dangerous team. You look at Graves and Bonsante combined are averaging almost 40 points a game. And so you've got 2 kids who are really dynamic scorers and can put a huge number of points on the board in a really short period of time. So that always makes them dangerous. They're never really out of a game, and they can very quickly put a huge run together that buries you. And you look at our season comparative to theirs, and they're really not that different. We're 5-1. Having won 2 games in the final 3 seconds of the game. They're 1-5 with 2 overtime losses. Those 4 games go the other way, and both teams are 3-3. Mm-hmm. And you're talking about a couple of seconds there, really. And so they're a really dangerous team. Like you said, they're not overly deep, but they've got a couple kids that are really dynamic and can really hurt you in a variety of ways. So they're a dangerous team.
And there is, even though this is just your second conference game and your first home conference game, there is just a sense there has to be a level of intensity from your team in a game like this, because when that schedule comes out where you guys are preseason picked, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, they see this game and they think if we want to do anything, that's one we got to have. And for your team, I would guess if we want to do something this year, these are the kind of games that we got to lock down at home.
Yeah, no question. We look at a game like that, and these are games that we have to. It's exactly as you said. If we want to do something this season significant within the conference, we can't lose a game like this at home.
Coach, always good to catch up. Best luck today with the Pipers.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's bring it back into the Butler Center. Matt Nelson alongside of our engineer, Glenn Thompson. Now we can do our formal introductions. We had to get you downstairs for the pregame show. A reminder, folks, check out the sponsors of St. Kate's Athletics: Sodexo Education, Push Pedal Pole Midwest Vending, U.S. Bank, TJ Broadcast Services, who we're a little bit familiar with, the Ellsmore Swim Shop, Shapco, DLR Group, Cone, Loeffler, Best Western Plus Hotel, Mall of America, Rachel Construction, McGo, and Dolan. Let's send it downstairs. National Anthem time. Tip-off next. Pipers, Cats. Yeah, it should be a good Saturday here. This should be a good basketball game, folks. We welcome you back in. Matt Nelson with you alongside of engineer Glenn Thompson. Let's get you up to date on both of these teams. But first, Glenn, we want to hear from the fans. You hear from me all the time. You're tired of hearing from me. You've said so in so many words. You've been tired of hearing from me for quite some time. So you want to hear from the fans who are listening today, whether they're Hamline fans, whether they're St. Kate's fans. You don't care. You just want to hear from them. And we want to know where it is you're listening from and who you're rooting for today on this Saturday. The email address to reach out to us up here in the Butler Center is wildcatsbooth@gmail.com. Wildcatsbooth@gmail.com. We want to know who you're rooting for today because I think this is going to be a heck of a good basketball game. Let's talk about these two teams. You heard Sean in the pregame. Although their records are flip-flopped, St. Kate's at 5-1, Hamline at 1-5. The Pipers were picked in the preseason poll to finish ahead of St. Kate's. They've lost a couple of games in overtime. The Wildcats have won a couple of games just inside of 3 seconds to go in the game or in overtime. So a couple of bounces, a couple of fouls. Either way, these two teams could, you could be talking about a 5-1 Hamline team or a 1-5 St. Kate's team. That's just the way that it shakes out. Let's talk about the starters for both of these clubs. First for the visiting Hamline University Pipers, 1-5 on the season, 0-1 in the MIAC. Carrie Stockwell is their head coach. She's in her 6th season. Chloe Graves gets the start at guard. Junior, 5'5", averaging just over 17 points per game. Emily Berman, 5'6", senior, Maple Plain, Minnesota, 7.2 points per contest. Good three-point shooter, just under 40%. Chelsea Bonsante, 5'8", junior guard, Ironton, Minnesota, 19.2 points per game. Graves, 17 points per game. Bonsante, 19 points per contest. Alex Peterson, the start in the front court. 6-footer sophomore, grew up in St. Paul, went to Como Park High School. 7.5 points per game for her. And Allison Bartak, 6-footer, sophomore, Manhattan Beach, California. For the Wildcats, same starting five as it's been for all 6 games so far this season. Horsch, Lee, Clark, Jennings for the starting five. Once again, Shauna Horsch, Mari Lee, both of the Clarks, and Kennedy Jennings. Jennings will take the tip for the Wildcats. Alex Peterson will do the honors for the Piper, and we'll have basketball, a 3:04 start time in the Central Time Zone, and we are underway. The Pipers win the tip with Peterson, and they'll control the basketball to get things underway here today. Graves will have it. She's picked up early by Jennings. Mismatch from a length perspective. Graves, the more diminutive 5'5", shrouded by Jennings. Now the Pipers go into the post and throw it away. An early turnover for the Hamline Pipers. Comes 20 minutes into the first quarter. It's Wildcats ball. Still no score from St. Paul. Remind me, Glenn, what is the email address if you want to reach out to the booth? It's wildcatsbooth@gmail.com. Thank you so much You nailed it. Down low, Jennings kicks it into the corner. Horsch thought about a 3-1 dribble, backs it out for Jennings. Now Clark for Meg Clark on the right-hand side wing. She's guarded closely by Graves. Defers to Lee on the right-hand side wing. Now it is Audra Clark with 10 seconds on the shot clock. Around a Jennings screen. She'll pull it up from 12 feet out. Miss long. And the rebound on the weak side hauled in by Graves. She wants to push the pace. Long pass ahead. Peterson lays it up and in off of the window. The Pipers score first on a long pass. Graves to Peterson. It's a 2-0 Piper lead. Second possession offensively for the Wildcats. Horsch surveys the defense on the left-hand side wing. Now Lee, no real threat to take that three on the top of the key. Clark tried to get it into Jennings and had it stripped right out of her hands by Emily Berman. Going the other way, Berman for Graves. Pulls it up from 8 feet out. That shot's long and rebounded defensively by Meg Clark, who falls out of the lane and will take it going the other way. Clark drives, puts it up with the left hand, was fouled and one. Foul goes against Peterson, her first. The bucket is good for Meg Clark, and she'll go to the free throw line to try to complete the three-point play. Clark, one of the better free throw shooters for the Wildcats at 75% on this young season. And she makes it. So a 3-2 lead for St. Kate's. Minute and a half in from St. Paul. Graves has the rock, guarded by Jennings. Now Bartak, her first touchdown low. Peterson, give and go action. Back to Bartak. Her layup was no good. Audra Clark pulled the rebound right away from Kennedy Jennings. Just two Wildcats underneath the basket. Audra Clark marches it down, averaging more than a dozen points per game. Lee lines up a three. That's long and rebounded yet again on the weak side by Emily Berman. Pipers have the basketball. They'll go to the right-hand side wing. Bonsante down low. Peterson back for Bonsante. She's hounded into the corner. A pump fake. Berman. She hands it off. Chelsea Bonsante. Three is off of the front iron, but rebounded by Allison Bartak. A second offensive possession here for the Pipers. They'll kick. Bonsante is wide open for three. That's long. Again, the Pipers come up with a rebound. Berman's put back is short, and Clark comes up with it under the basket. Now Audra Clark pushes it ahead for Shauna Horsch with the Wildcats leading by a point. 3-2 your score. One dribble. Lee has it again. Bartak comes out to defend. Jennings flashed open for a moment underneath the basket, but came away empty-handed. Lee again on the right-hand side wing. Draws Bartak out. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Audra Clark around a screen from Lee. They pick and roll. Lee, baseline drive. Floater. No. And the rebound tipped into the waiting hands of Alex Peterson, who's averaging just under 6 rebounds per game. Graves the other way around a screen goes at Jennings, lost her handle, and it's out of bounds over the baseline. Just inside of 7 minutes left in the first quarter, and it's time to see Lachey Holt. Horsch to the bench. Lachey Holt in. 14 points per game, 9.2 rebounds per contest for Shea. Shooting 44% from the floor, playing about 20 minutes a game, had an early season injury. And Shea comes out on the floor, and she'll control the offense. Jennings on the elbow, one-on-one. Peterson went baseline and stepped out of bounds. Wildcats pay back the Hamline turnover with one of their own. So far, a close game, but so far, not much in the way of scoring. Hamline 1 of 6, St. Kate's 1 of 4. The two teams have combined 2 of 10. Graves for Peterson, guarded by Meg Clark. No help, and Peterson backs her right down and lays it in. All 4 Hamline points coming from Alex Peterson. 3.5 minutes into the ball game. Audra Clark has Holt. Now Meg Clark got bumped on her drive. No shot. The foul will go against Graves on the contact. It's the first foul against Graves, the second against the Hamline Pipers here in the first quarter. Reminder now in women's basketball, they play 4 10-minute quarters, and after 5 fouls, it's what amounts to a double bonus. 3, Audra Clark, rattled in and out. Bartak rebound over Clark and Lee. Wildcats retreat to play defense as Graves walks it up the floor. Pipers one-on-one it. That's Bonsante. She was picked up back up top as Carrie Stockwell pleaded for a foul. Peterson outside Graves, lines up a 3. That's off. Holt battles Bartak, but Bartak comes up with the rebound. Hamline out slugging the Wildcats on the offensive glass. Peterson against Holt. She's fouled, and the bucket is good. Peterson, hot start for Alex Peterson, already with 6 points. She goes to the free throw line to try to finish off a 3-point play with the Pipers on top 6-3. The foul is the first against St. Kate's in this first quarter, and the first goes without saying against Lachey Holt. Peterson, a 72% free throw shooter. And the southpaw comes up short. Rebound Shea. Wildcats down by 3. Shea pushing the pace. Crossover dribble. Jennings. Back for Shea now, top of the key. Wildcats having some trouble in these half-court sets after Piper possessions. Tried to get it to Lee, had it knocked away. Now Jennings, right-handed heave. Horsch corralled it in the corner. Got it back up top for Audra Clark, who weaved through the defense and got fouled. Ooh, tough call against the Pipers. Looked like a pretty clean block by Bartak, but the foul will send Audra Clark to the free throw line. Bartak called for her first. Looked like she had absolutely stuffed Audra on her way to the basket, but they say foul on Bartak. So Clark's first free throw up and good. Audra, more than 12 points per game, shooting 69% from the free throw line, 40% from the floor. Sophomore out of Kenyon in Minnesota. Scored 18 in the Wildcats' last ball game, a loss against Bethel. Clark goes 2 of 2. It's a 6-5 Piper lead. Graves, left-handed dribbles. Again picked up by Jennings. That's who the Wildcats used to defend her last season as well. Bonsante for Bartak against Holt. She went up and down. They didn't call it. So she gets it for Emily Berman. 10 seconds on the shot clock for the Pipers. 5 on the game clock in the first quarter. Bonsante against Lee. Crossover dribble, got by her and was fouled. Ari Lee called for her first foul, the second against St. Kate's. Bartek swings it in as the Pipers have a fresh shot clock after the foul against Lee. Bonsante back up top. Berman, nice move in the post, but her layup was short. Jennings went up and hauled down the rebound. Wildcats can take the lead on this possession. They trail it 6-5. Holt, 3. No. Rebound, Bartak. Slow shooting start for St. Kate's. Graves, nifty pass down low and finished off. Graves found Bonsante, and Chelsea Bonsante, more than 19 points per game, as her first 2 of the afternoon. And going the other way, the shot by Clark was no good. Rebound in the corner belongs to Berman and the Pipers. Beeman is in for the first time. She gets the rock. It's off of the window and no good. Shea battles for the board. Brings it down and in. Shea pushing the pace the other way with the Cats trailing by 3. Down low, Jennings. Oh, she lost the pass right underneath the basket. Easy for Bartak to just pick it up and send it the other way. Costly turnover for the Wildcats as Kennedy was wide open. 3 ball is off. Horsch came up with the rebound and got fouled by Emily Berman. The first foul against Berman, and the 4th foul against the Hamline Pipers. .337 left in the first quarter, an 8-5 lead for the visiting Pipers. Little St. Paul showdown here at the Butler Center. Hamline coming right on up Snelling Avenue for today's conference battle, the home opener in the MIAC for the Wildcats. And there goes Lachey Holt right through 2 defenders, Berman, and behind her Peterson. Didn't matter. Lachey Holt has her first 2 of the afternoon. It's a 1-point ball game. Peterson down low. Horsch lost her. Jennings the block. Peterson got it back up in and fouled. Alex Peterson has been Hamline's best player today. She already has 8 of their 10 points, and she goes to the free throw line to add to that total. They tabbed the foul on Shauna Horsch, her first of the afternoon. 3:09 left in the first quarter. Shot is up and good for the lefty Peterson. She's got 9 out of the 11 points for the Pipers. Diggins is in for the first time. 5'7" junior, Montevideo, Minnesota. And again, the Wildcats turn this thing over. It has not been a crisp offensive start for St. Kate's. They are shooting 2 of 8, and they have turned the basketball over 4 times inside of 3 minutes left in the first quarter. Graves for Peterson. Now Berman swings it around. Ortega Flowers is in for the first time as well. She's a freshman. Hamline lost it underneath the basket. Horsch came up with it. 4th turnover for the Pipers. Audra Clark, baseline drive, double team. Graves had her hand up. Clark lost it, no foul, but it was last touched on the way out by Chloe Graves. Good player is Graves at just 5'5", scoring just over 17 points per game and averaging 5 rebounds as well. At her size, very effort-type player. Holt tried to get it to Lee, who was double covered. It was batted away, but back into the hands of Shea, who was able to chase it down. Holt, a pump fake, nearly lost Berman. Got help defense from Peterson. The shot went up. It was no good. Holt got it back. The left-handed layup. That clanks around the iron and comes back down for the Pipers. Tia Diggins comes up with a rebound. Diggins going the other way. Finds Peterson. She'll pull up the long jumper. That's off and weak side rebound for Meg Clark. Why not Peterson? You don't think of her as a jump shooter, but already 9 points this afternoon in the first quarter, surpassing her season average in that first quarter. Drive, dish, Horsch 3. That's off. Clark rebound. Put back, got tied up by Diggins, wiggled out of it and turned it over. It's stolen away by Graves. 5th turnover of the first quarter for St. Kate's. Graves, corner, Berman 3. Knocked it down. Emily Berman, 5'6", senior, Maple Plain, Minnesota, knocks down the triple, the first for either team here today, averaging just over 7 points per game. Good three-point shooter, though. At 38%, the Pipers are all over the Wildcats, 14-7. 3, Clark is off. Berman, the rebound. What an atrocious shooting start for St. Kate's at 2 of 12. Here in the first quarter, we played 9 minutes. Diggins, Horsch looking her right in the eye. Couple dribbles, kicks it into the corner. Berman chased down by Audra Clark, so she goes into the paint. Peterson again, Lee and Holt, no answer. Alex Peterson has 11. She averages 7.5 per game on the season. It's 16-7, a 9-point lead for the visiting Pipers. Holt, one-on-one, crossover dribble. Lee against Peterson now. Back up top, Meg Clark, Horsch. Thought about a 3, instead drives with the right hand, and a foul is going to be called on the floor as Horsch went driving by the freshman Ortega Flowers out of Madison, Wisconsin. The 5th foul against the Pipers means 2 shots for Horsch, who's shooting 68% on the season from the free throw line. First one is down and good. Horsch on the season, 34% on her long-range shooting. Just under 12 points per game, 3.5 rebounds per contest for the senior out of Inver Grove Heights, Minnesota. And Holt will run back to the bench. Alexis Garcia in for the first time this afternoon. She's appeared on each and every Wildcat game off of that bench. Horsch goes 2 for 2 from the free throw line to cut into that Piper lead. It's now 16-9. 22 on the shot clock, 20 on the game clock, 20 on the shot clock. Driving into the lane goes Bonsante. Her shot was no good. Pipers again come up with the offensive rebound, and a foul is going to be called as going back up with it that time underneath the basket was Green. They're going to put the foul on Garcia, so good bit of coaching there by Sean to get Holt off of the floor. Garcia instead called for the foul, and Haley Green goes to the free throw line. Her shot is good. Haley Green is a freshman from Inver Grove. Listed at 5'11". This was a Hamline team that in past seasons, they lost their program's all-time leading scorer coming into this year, Jordan Salmons, but it was a team that at times would start 5 guards. Not much in the way of size out there. You're seeing some of these younger players coming in, Greens, Petersons, some of these Ortega Flowers, much, bigger post players. Another turnover, second left. They get it ahead, and there's a final buzzer. as Green tried to chase it down, but it wraps up a pretty good 10 minutes of basketball for the visiting Pipers. Not much going on for the Wildcats. In the first quarter, the Wildcats shoot 2 of 12, 0 of 5 on their three-pointers. They get 5 points from the free throw line, and the Hamline Pipers lead it after one quarter. 18-9 your score. 6 turnovers for the Wildcats, almost as many turnovers as points. If they want to win this one at home, they'll have to do it in comeback fashion. Let's break it. Second quarter next from St. Paul. Well, St. Kate's played a pretty rugged 10 minutes of basketball, and Sean Pinkerton is really giving them an earful down in between quarters. 18-9 is your score. Pipers on top of the Wildcats. 1-5 Pipers on top of the 5-1 St. Kate's Wildcats. For St. Kate's, their last time out, 76-61, the loss in their MIAC opener at Bethel in Arden Hills. That snapped a 5-game winning streak to open up the season. For Bethel, it was Shani Morse with 16 points and Rachel Porupski, their very good post player, 10 points and 10 rebounds. Shea had 14 points and 14 boards. Audra Clark had 18 points, but the Wildcats were out-rebounded 53-37. Back at it, Wildcats with the basketball. Horse driving baseline off of the left side. Her shot was blocked out of bounds, but it will stay with St. Kate's. 20 seconds on their shot clock. Reminder, folks, check out Midwest Vending, as well as Push Pedal Pull and Sodexo Education, some of the fine sponsors of Wildcats Athletics. Pass comes in, and Lee was fouled immediately by Diggins. Well, that's an excellent question there, my friend. WildcatsBooth@gmail.com. That's our portal for you to interact with us here from St. Paul, and it's pretty quiet. No activity so far from Piper or Wildcat fans. 3 is off. Battle for the board. And a jump ball called as Clark and Lee got a hand on it with Chelsea Bonsante. 20 seconds into the second quarter, Bonsante had a hand in it and won the ball for the Pipers. They had the possession arrow. Yeah, you couldn't hear it or see it in between quarters, but the Wildcats, they certainly got their money's worth from their head coach, Sean Pinkerton. He was letting them know exactly what he thought of that first quarter that saw the Wildcats shoot just 2 of 12 and score 5 of their points from the free throw line. Holt is off from 10 feet out. Diggins the board with her head up, looking ahead. They have numbers, do the Pipers, but they turned it over as the pass from Chelsea Bonsante trying to find Graves, and she threw it away along the baseline. That's probably one where if you're Carrie Stockwell, you just say, we've got the numbers, let's just get the thing to the basket. A little bit too fine in transition there were the Pipers. 18-9, Garcia had her pass deflected, but got it to Horsch. Tried to go into the paint for Lee. It's all kinds of clogged up. Holt into the paint, nifty pass. Lee had her shot blocked from behind by Bartak. Came out for Garcia. She got it to Horsch, who swished home a 3. Wildcats have their first three-pointer on their 7th try. They're 1 for 7, and they trail it now just by 6. 18-12 your score. Pipers on top with the basketball. Holt poked it out of Monsante's hands. She came back up with it. Bartak around to screen from Green. Pick and roll. Got it back for Green. Lost it, and her shot was blocked, but they're going to call a foul on Alexis Garcia. It's going to be her second foul and the first in the second quarter against St. Kate's. Oh, they're going to put it on Shauna Horsch instead. Her second foul. 90 seconds into the second quarter. Berman back in for the Pipers. Jennings back in for the Cats. And the 7-point lead is now 8 for Green. Wait, I'm going to share with you one pet peeve I have here. This is a home game, and it is so quiet that you could hear a mouse lay a turd in this gym when Hamline is at the free throw line shooting. I know I have such a way with words, don't I? But, you know, we got to make this a little bit tougher for these visiting teams who come here to shoot their free throws. It was like you could putt. It was so quiet in here. Clark, 3, got it. Six points for Clark, a 5-point ball game, 20-15, Hamline on top. It just gets so quiet when the visitors are shooting, and I don't know why we don't give them a little bit of noise for their troubles. Diggins, boy, she put a shoulder right into Garcia. No call. Her layup was well short, and Lee came down with the rebound. She's averaging 4 of those a game. Holt going the other way. She's double-teamed. Her layup is no good. Shea struggling. Nearly came down with the offensive board. Battle for it. Lee came up with it. Sean was screaming for a timeout. He didn't get it, and a travel called against the Pipers. Is sliding across the floor was Chelsea Bonsante. Good heavens, it was just, can be so quiet in here. (20-15) your score. Competitive basketball game. It hasn't always been pretty as Bartek deflects that one out of Shea's hands, and we'll give it another go with 7:33 left here in the second quarter. Pump fake. Clark drives into a traffic jam into the corner. 3, Garcia. That's long. Rebound by Peterson, and a foul called against the Wildcats. That foul belongs to Garcia. That is her second. 7:25 left in the second quarter. Free throws will play a part in this second quarter by the looks of things. Plenty of whistles here in just the first 2.5 minutes of this second period. Diggins will run the point for Hamline. Boy, she put a move on Audra Clark, but pulled it back, backpedaled it. Found Berman. Now to the right-hand side wing, Chelsea Bonsante. Pump fake. She's hounded by Jennings, who's all over her. Poked it out of her hands. Berman came up with it. Jennings deflected it, laid on it, and a timeout called by Sean Pinkerton. It's going to be the Wildcats' ball. Good bit of coaching and hustle by Kennedy Jennings. Bonsante is struggling early with Jennings. She averages more than 19 points a game. Jennings was all over her and forced the turnover. 3 minutes into the second quarter, we have a timeout on the floor. We'll do the same. You're listening to Wildcats basketball on TJSportsOnline.net. Well, a slow start shooting for St. Kate's, but they got a couple of players who are shooting pretty good. Meg Clark has been 2 of 2. Horsch did make the 3, but Shea just 1 of 6. Audra 0 for 4. That's your 2 best scorers right now, combining for 1 for 10. Not good. Turnover. Diggins ahead for Berman. Only Lee to beat, and she did it. Layup off of the window. Emily Berman has 5 points. This has not been a good half of basketball for the Wildcats. Right now they trail at 22-15. Way too many turnovers right now. 7 on the afternoon for St. Kate's. 6:29 left in the third quarter. Clark got bumped and fouled. They're going to tab this one on Diggins. Her second foul, the second of the second quarter for Hamline. Graves in. Diggins back to the bench. Much more dynamic offensively when Graves is on the floor. 22-15 lead for the Pipers. Jennings pulls it up from 5 feet out and rattles it down. The lefty Jennings has her first 2 points of the night. Jennings on the season, 8.3 points per game, 5 rebounds per contest as well. And Kennedy is on the board. 5-point lead for the Pipers. Graves for Peterson. Holt got a hand in there, forced the turnover, came up with it, and will lead the charge. Nifty pass for Meg Clark. For Audra going the other way. Her layup was no good. Rebound Berman. Good passing, but nobody there to finish it off for St. Kate's. Graves guarded by Holt in the corner. She'll pedal it away to the left-hand side wing. Long pass, Bonsante. 3 is an air ball. Jennings the rebound, but she's able to throw it, and nobody in particular. Sean thought it might have been deflected by Peterson. The officials didn't see it that way, so it's Hamline's basketball with 5:43 left here in the second quarter. Ball comes in for Graves. Now Bonsante against Clark. Meg Clark looking for Peterson. There's nobody home, so Berman's going to get it. Hoist up a 3 short. Lee the rebound, and she booted it off of her foot in the corner with Jennings. Another try for Hamline on this possession. Wildcats just are not doing a great job securing defensive rebounds. They've struggled with that so far this season as Shauna Horsch comes back in. Hamline now rebounding St. Kate's 20-14. That's one thing when neither team has shot the ball particularly well. There's been a lot of rebounds to be won. Artak tried to get it down low to Peterson, but Clark picked it off and stole it away. Audra going the other way, looking for players to distribute to. Nobody was open. Kicked it to Meg in the corner. Now Horsch up top, wide open for 3, short. Shauna just has not been able to find the range so far here at home this season. Graves off of the defensive board for the Pipers. Found Peterson. Now Bonsante guarded by Meg Clark. Pick and roll. Played on a switch by Horsch. She picked up her dribble, and Peterson got tangled up with Clark, and Meg Clark's going to be called for the... Oh, they're going to call an offensive foul against Peterson. Her second foul for the sophomore out of St. Paul. Stayed close to home, went to Como Park High School and to the Midway neighborhood to play for the Hamline Pipers. They got a new logo. I don't know if you've been on their website. Hamline traditionally has had that Hamline University HU logo, which has kind of been old school and classy. They got this new logo. It's this Piper guy who, if you saw him in an alley, you'd walk the other way. You know what I'm saying? Clark for Horsch. Back up top now. Meg Clark driving into the lane. Found Lee. She's picked up. 2 seconds to shoot. Wildcats aren't going to get this one off. Shot clock violation. Another turnover. And trailing by 5, 22-17. 4:22 left in the second quarter. The Pipers will have the ball. Gary Stockwell's team playing some defense here in St. Paul. Graves with the rock. 0-3 shooting, but does have 4 assists. Driving is Bonsante, and she scores. She now has 4 points. Nice, nifty little floater for Bonsante, who's a very skilled offensive player at 19 points per game. We're not seeing Shea really get that penetration we're used to seeing. Audra drives. Graves picked her up, and a kicked ball is called on Green as Clark tried to get it down low to Garcia. 3:52 left in the first half. Matt Nelson alongside engineer and cult hero Glenn Thompson. Graves tapped that one away from Clark. So again, St. Kate's ball. They'll just have to inbound now closer to the Piper bench. St. Kate's shooting 22%, Hamline 33%. Wildcats just 2 of 10 on three-pointers. Hamline 1 of 7. So a combined 3 of 17 for these two teams on their three-pointers. Holt got to the basket. You never see her miss those shots, but she was able to get it back, go up through 3 Piper defenders, and scored. 4 points for Shea. Close game, 24-19. Pipers have it. Merman. Or Bonsante right through 2 defenders. Pulls it back up for Bartak, who traveled going by Shauna Horsch. Neither team is being very judicious in their handling of the basketball. We have seen the Wildcats turn it over 10 times, and the Pipers have seen their 10 and matched it with 10 of their own through 17 minutes of basketball. 20 turnovers, not particularly sharp on either team's accord. Holt. Boy, that was a mismatch, but she went back out for Jennings against Berman. Now Clark drives, lost the rock, no whistle, just the 11th turnover for St. Kate's. Berman goes back to the bench. Diggins comes in for Bartak. Now check that. Berman stays in. Diggins comes in for Bartak. Smaller lineup for the Pipers. 3 minutes left in the first half. Pipers' lone win on the season was a thumping of Crown back on November 30th. 83-55 was the final score in that game. Herman lost it. Meg Clark came up with the ball, and Carrie Stockwell is going to take a timeout. We'll talk some more about the Pipers and their season when we bring it back in. You're listening to Wildcat Basketball. 24-19 lead for the visiting Hamline Pipers. Wildcats playing much better in the second quarter, though, than they did in the first. Stick around at halftime. I'll check the out-of-town scoreboard for you, as well as scores and stats from around the conference and today's ball game. St. Kate's hosting Hamline, and the Pipers, Matt Nelson, alongside our engineer, the man himself, the legend, Glenn Thompson. Legend in his own mind. Just ask him. Graves floater found her mark. Wildcats have done a good job handling the two real studs for the Pipers. That's Graves' first 2 points of the afternoon. Monsante had 4. Those two players really combined to average just under 40 points per game. So they've done a good job putting the handcuffs on those two, but still trail 26-19. Meg Clark baseline drive. Got it to Garcia. Now hold a long 2 is sweetly knocked down. Lachey Holt, that set shot, now has 6 points, and the lead for the Pipers is 5 inside of 2 minutes left in the second quarter. Graves for Berman in the corner. Audra Clark chased her down. Back up top, Bonsante completely blew by Meg Clark. Her shot by Jennings might have been blocked or deflected. No whistles. Lachey Holt comes down with the rebound and pushes it going the other way. Pulls it. Audra Clark, wide open 3. That's short. Boy, the Wildcats just can't buy a three-pointer. They're 2 of 11. And they don't come more wide open than that last one that Audra missed. Monsante guarded by Garcia. Berman, right-hand side wing, into the post. Green picked up by Holt. Double teamed, but scores still the same. Down low, Haley Green has 6 points. Post players are dominating for Hamline. Peterson has 11. Green has 6. 17 of the Pipers, 28 points coming from their 2 post players. Ooh, nifty pass. Green, Monsante going the other way. They score again in transition. Chelsea Monsante started slow but has 6 inside of a minute left in the second quarter. 30-21 the lead for the Pipers. Wildcats need to find their rhythm offensively. Garcia got it down. The left-handed layup is short, and Graves the rebound. Pipers continue to out-rebound the Wildcats, now 22-18. 23 seconds on the shot clock, 31 on the game clock. Berman around a green screen, hounded by Jennings. Bonsante guarded tightly by Meg Clark. Around a green screen, didn't get much of Clark, so she sticks with her. Graves, long three-pointer is off of the front iron. Rebounded by Garcia. 10 seconds for the Wildcats to work with. Holt into the front court. She lost it, spun out of her defender's grasp, and got fouled by Diggins with 5 seconds left. Pipers had the foul to use. They use it. For Diggins, in her few moments that she's been on the floor, she's accumulated 3 fouls now. Next foul for the Pipers. That was the 4th here in the second quarter. The next foul would put St. Kate's on the free throw line. 5 seconds to work with. And Meg Clark will trigger the ball in for Holt. 2 seconds left. Holt, long 3 off of the side of the iron. Graves hauls it down, and that's the end of the first half. 30-21 your score. The Pipers lead it. Taking a look at the stats for you here as the teams make their way into the locker rooms here at the Butler Center for St. Kate's. Horsch 1 of 4, all 3-point tries for 5 points. Lee 0 of 3. Clark 2 of 2. Audra Clark 0 of 6. Jennings 1 for 1. Alexis Garcia was 0 for 2. And Lachey Holt 3 of 10. So Audra Clark and Lachey Holt combined to go 3 of 16. All 3 makes coming from Shea, who has 6 points. Chloe Graves 1 of 5. She's got 2. Emily Berman has 5 on 5 attempts. Monsante 3 of 9, was playing better late in the second quarter. She takes 6 points into the locker room. Alex Peterson, where did this come from? She's got 3 boards and 11 points on 5 of 8 shooting. Bartak 0 of 1, did not score. Diggins 3 fouls to go along with 4 rebounds. Ortega Flower played sparingly. Haley Green was 1 of 2, and Jessica Beeman played just a brief cameo in the first half for the 1 and 5 Hamline Pipers. But they lead at 30-21 as we've played 20 minutes of basketball from St. Paul. Stay tuned. We'll take a short break here, and when we come back, we'll check the out-of-town scoreboard in the MIAC. Plenty of action going on, including postseason football for those who might be interested. The national quarterfinals. St. Thomas representing this great conference and doing it well. It looks like it's a final. 38-7, the Tommies blow out Wabash in the national quarterfinals. So on to the semis for the Tommies and the MIAC conference. Plenty of men's and women's hoops going on this winter. Fall? What season is it, Glenn? It's winter. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Just listen to the holiday jingles and they'll tell you that, the Christmas carols. All right, what do you say we take a break? It's halftime in St. Paul. Pipers 30, Wildcats 21, and you're listening to Wildcat Basketball. All right, winding it down back towards the second half. Matt Nelson with you alongside of Glenn Thompson. We've got the Pipers on top of the Wildcats. You're on the right place. TJSportsOnline.net, your home for St. Kate's Athletics. 30-21 is your score. Pipers on top. I ran down the stats for you, but the long story long, unexpected boost from post players Alex Peterson and Haley Green, 17 of the Pipers' 30 points. And for the Wildcats, they really depend on Audra Clark and Lachey Holt to contribute offensively. They pitch in 12 points, 6 from each of them, but shoot just 3 for 17. The Wildcats shoot just 7 of 29, 24%, just 16% on the long ball, 2 of 12 on three-pointers. Hamline shoots 12 of 32. That's 37%, just 1 of 8 on their three-pointers. So these two teams combined for a 3 of 20 on their three-pointers. Not very good. Here's a 3 early and another one off of the right side of the iron. Clark came up with a rebound. Meg rebounding the miss from Audra. Kennedy for Clark. Now Lee in triple teamed. Got it up through the triple team. Missed long. Got her own rebound. Spins, shoots, and scores. Boy, right at Bartak. Mari Lee, her first 2 points come as the first score of this second half. That was a battle down low. Graves had a slow first half scoring the basketball, but had some nifty dimes out there. She just had the 2 points. Did Graves. Down low, Peterson. Outside, Berman. Now Graves again. Out of Denver, Colorado. Back outside, Peterson. Lines up the long jumper and knocks it down. She's got 13. Alex Peterson, what a afternoon. She is now 6 of 9 with 13 points. 32-23 lead for Hamline. Horsch for Lee. Now Meg Clark. Guarded by Graves. Lee wants the ball, gets it, floats it down low. Berman tipped into the hands of Bonsante. A steal for the Pipers and another turnover for St. Kate's. A big bugaboo in the first half continues here early. 90 seconds into the third quarter. Graves triggers the offense with Berman. They wanted to get it down low for Peterson. Now they do that. Jennings bounces around her. And they're going to call an offensive foul as Peterson wrapped her right hand around to try to deny Jennings access to that pass coming into the post. So the foul against Peterson is her third, the first for Hamline in the third quarter. Peterson to the bench, and Green comes in and coming off of a great first half. Green, 1 of 2 from the floor, 4 of 4 on her free throws for 6 points. More seldom used player. Audra Clark drives to the basket, and she was fouled by Berman, who disagreed with the call. It means Clark goes to the free throw line, and the Berman is called for her second. First free throw is good for Audra Clark. She's got 3 points. Clark on the season shooting 69% from the free throw line, just under 6 rebounds per contest, 40% from the floor. And she's got 4 points, goes 2 of 2. It's 32-25. Hamline just hanging on to that 5-7 point lead. Right now it's 7. Graves guarded by Jennings. Graves goes to her left, got by Jennings, and was fouled by Kennedy. A first foul against St. Kate's in the second half belongs to Jennings, and it's her first foul for the junior out of Grimes, Iowa. Having a good season statistically today, tasked with defending the very quick Graves. Bonsante traveled. Good defense by Meg Clark to force the travel by Bonsante. Those two average just under 40 points a game. Bonsante has 6. Graves has 2. So far they've got 8. Wildcats trail it by 7. Need a sustained run of good offensive basketball. Audra Clark takes the handoff from Kennedy. Picked up by Berman. Back up top. Meg. Blew by Graves. Got by Green. Layup short. Rebound by Chloe Graves. Pushing the pace going the other way. Blew right by Horsch. Gets it into the corner. Bonsante picked up there by Meg Clark. Hamline leading by 7 with the rock. Heave into the corner for Graves. Around a screen from Bartak. Long jumper is knocked down by Chloe Graves. Good little bit of transition offense there by the Pipers. Now the Wildcats take it the other way. Kennedy missed the layup. Berman goes over her backside to try to haul in the rebound. Kennedy just about flung her into the rafters, and Berman wanted a jump ball. Instead, the foul will go against number 5 for the Pipers. And for Berman, it's her 3rd foul. Gary Stockball will leave her out there. Lee leans in on a baseline jumper and shoots an air ball right over the goal. 34-25 the Piper lead, and they've got the basketball with Bonsante, guarded by Horsch. Berman, the feisty senior guard, playing out her collegiate career here for Hamline. Bartek, corner. Graves wanted it. It was a bit slow getting there. Clark was able to close her out. Ran into Lee. Lost her handle. Green rolled it back over for Bartek. Her baseline drive. And layup no good, but she was fouled on the way to the goal by Lee. The blocking foul will send Bartek to the free throw line. It's the 2nd foul against Mari Lee, the junior out of Dawson, Minnesota. Bartek to the free throw line. She'll shoot 2. And the first shot is long. Allison Bartak getting the start today. With 6:30 left here in the 3rd quarter. Free throw here can make it a 10-point Hamline lead. And does. So Bartak is on the scoring sheet. She has her first point, and it's a 10-point Hamline lead. Pipers led by 9 at the half. They've expanded that lead by a point. Lee, long time thinking about a 3, leaned into it and knocked it down. Boy, no defense out there to close out on Mari as she just thought, oh, Bonsante from Graves in transition. The Wildcats make a 3 but give one up going the other way. Bonsante scores. She has 8 points. It's 37-28, 9-point lead. Wildcats though with the rock. Lee coming off of that last 3, finds Kennedy down low. Audra, one dribble, bumps into Berman, who wipes out, trying to draw that call, nothing doing. Swung around Lee. Audra retreats into the corner. Kennedy down low. Meg Clark drives, dishes. Lee, 7 on the shot clock. Baseline trapped, guarded by Bartak. No help. Audra got it, spins. 2 seconds left on the shot clock. 3 is short. Rebound, Meg Clark, and a putback. She got the better of Graves. 8 points for Meg Clark. And the lead trimmed to 7. It's 37-30. Wildcats need defense. And Graves trying to get it to Green. It's Wildcats ball. No touch by St. Kate's. Okay, now you've hit the 3. You have a little 5-0 run after the rebound and putback by Clark. You send in Lachey Holt, trailing by 7. 5:28 left in the 3rd quarter. This is where you need to make a bit of a charge and try to sustain this run. Jennings, now Holt, right side wing, set shot right at Berman is short, rebounded by Graves underneath the basket. Graves goes the other way with it. Now Bartak, handoff, Bonsante lines up a 3. That did everything but go down. It was halfway down the twine before it bounced back out. Rebound Jennings, Holt the other way into 3 defenders. Layup short as Holt's struggles continue. And now a whistle as Lachey Holt was called for a technical foul behind the action. And Sean Pinkerton getting the explanation. And it'll be Graves going to the free throw line. The foul, the 2nd against Holt. Graves a 75% free throw shooter. This is her first. This will be 2 shots and basketball for Hamline. They'll keep the possession as Graves makes good on her 2nd. She's got 5 points. So a technical foul puts Lachey Holt onto the bench. She had just missed on a layup. She had 3 defenders in front of her. Must have said something to the official. Maybe thought she was fouled. And he didn't hesitate in teeing up Shea. Now another foul. This one is an illegal screen against Hamline, and it is Green called for the foul. The officials are going to tighten this thing down now after that technical foul. First foul against Green, fourth, the third quarter against the Hamline Pipers. Lee, stutter stepping on the right wing. Now Jennings, Horsch, pump fake. Jennings drives past the free throw line, got right past Green and laid it in. That's nice. I love that action right there. Kennedy Jennings has 4 points. Used that athleticism on the offensive end of the floor. She just went right by Green, who had no chance. Now Green with it, lost it, got it for Graves, who's guarded by Kennedy around a screen, played on a switch by Lee. Into the paint she goes, got it outside for Bonsante, who lost it, got it back. Free throw line. Berman, three, short. Bartak, nobody on her. An offensive rebound. The defensive rebounding woes for St. Kate's continue here as a fresh shot clock, and Bonsante being harassed by Jennings. Now forced a turnover. Audra Clark stole it away. She's got Berman to beat. Three Pipers to beat. Lost it. Berman tied up. And a foul is going to be called against Audra Clark, who came in to try to force the jump ball. And the reaching in foul against Audra Clark is her first. This is a bit chipper down there right now. There's definitely some bounce in both of these teams' steps as this one tightens up. Both of these teams really know that if they want to do anything in the conference this year, they need this game. Graves for Bonsante. Looked down low, there was nothing there, so instead Bartak in the corner. Green, give and go, back for Bartak, who beat Horsch to the basket. Her layup was no good. She got her own rebound and was fouled by Horsch. Bartak's putback was long, but she'll go to the line to shoot two after the foul. The third of the afternoon against Shauna Horsch. Bartak's first free throw is good. It's a 7-point Piper lead. 2 points tonight for Bartak. Bartak off of the bench, getting her fifth start of the season today. Shooting her first free throws of the year here tonight. Her second one is no good. It's 39-32. Shea is back out, and it goes the other way into the post. Audra Clark dribbles around three defenders, goes up and scores. No help side defense for the Pipers. Audra Clark has 6. It's a 5-point game with 3 minutes left. Here in the third quarter, I think this one's going to be close. Berman to the wing. Corner, Graves, three. Would have been a big one. It's long, but Graves chased down her own rebound. Lost it. Meg Clark came up with it. It's 3-on-2. Cats with the numbers. Nifty pass. Clark. Jennings in one. There you go. Meg Clark. Defense creating offense. The dime to Jennings. She was fouled. She has 6 points. And will go to the free throw line with a chance to make it a 2-point game. Kennedy struggling a bit from the free throw line this season at 56%. And that one goes long. Rebound Peterson. 39-36. Graves. Long pass. Bartak reaches up for it and hauls it down. Bonsante being guarded by Audra Clark, who's done a nice job on her. A screen by Peterson. Played on a switch now by Lee, who lost Peterson. Pick and roll action. The long two is short, and Holt is fouled. Oh, they're going to call a travel against Holt on the foul, who got bumped. And Sean giving the official an earful on that last call. That was a tough one, but I don't think Shea is in any good graces of this officiating crew. She went up, got the rebound, was clearly bumped. There was contact. She wiped out. And in the end, they called travel against Shea. Down low, Kennedy's called, reaching over the back of Peterson. And a fifth foul against the Wildcats means 2 free throws. Peterson to the free throw line, 72% on the season. She's had a heck of a game offensively with 13 points. Next one here would double up her season average for per game scoring. And it's a 5-point game. Good trip to the free throw line for Peterson, who has 15, leading all scorers in this game. Who could have thought Peterson would be leading all scorers for the Hamline Pipers, despite Graves and Bonsante and Shea Holt out there. Holt drives on Berman, pulls it up in the paint and rattles it down. Lachey Holt with 8 points. Did not get a call that on that other side of the floor, has already been teed up once, so she needs to be careful about her actions out there. The Wildcats will need her to complete this comeback. Graves, triple team, picked up her dribble, lost it in the paint. Jennings has it, and a jump ball is called. Possession arrow gives it back to the Pipers. It was a similar play to the one we saw on the other side of the floor where Berman was on the floor. Clark tied her up and was called for a reach-in foul. This time, though, it's a jump ball, and it belongs to the Pipers. There is a, I'll say this again, it's a bit chipper out there right now. Chipper, Chippy. Chipper is happy. Chippy is what we have he. Chippy is this. Chipper is what I am in the morning after my first cup of coffee. 41-38, minute 22 left here in the third quarter. Chippy, third quarter. That's me. Holt, set shot, bad one, air ball. Rebound, Graves got bumped out of bounds. Lost the ball. It's Piper's ball, and I think Audra Clark took one right underneath the nose. So they'll stop play. Horsch will come back in, and they'll look at Clark, who took one right underneath the nose. Horsch in. It's Piper basketball. And there's a little bit of blood on the floor. They'll have to get it cleaned up. In keeping with the motto Chipper versus Chippy, I think both coaches were trading a couple of words after that last play. Sean saying, what do you expect? She took an elbow right underneath the nose. I'm not sure what Carrie Stockwell said one way or another, but let's break it here. The training staff is going to look at Clark. She's got a bloody nose after she took that one right underneath the nose. They'll get that cleaned up. They'll get the floor cleaned up, and we'll come back with a minute and 14 left in the third quarter. It's 41-38 Hamline. All right, well, the Wildcats trail Hamline 41-38 here in the third quarter. The five on the floor after the injury to Audra Clark is Meg Clark, Mari Lee, Shauna Horsch, Lachey Holt, and Kennedy Jennings. The Pipers will counter with Diggins, Berman, Graves, Peterson, and I believe Ortega Flowers. They'll get the floor cleaned up. Yeah, our head volleyball coach over there. He's a good man and a jack of all trades. They'll get that cleaned up, and we should be good to go. So far we've had a Wildcat player, Lachey Holt, take a technical foul. We've seen some feistiness out of Berman for the Pipers. The coaches have traded some verbal barbs back and forth after Audra Clark took that shot right underneath her nose. And after all of that, we've got an exciting last 11 minutes left in this game. 109 of them here in the third quarter, with the Pipers holding on to a narrow three-point lead, led by as many as 10 in the second half. Berman around Horsch, and she traveled going into the lane. (41-38). Jennings for Lee. Now Horsch. Back for Meg Clark, guarded by Graves to the free throw line. Back up top, Jennings. Holt steps back, set shot. Three, swish, and that's a tie game. 35 seconds left in the third quarter. Lachey Holt with 11, and that three ties it at 41 apiece. 24 on the shot clock, 25 on the game clock. Hamline can hold it for what would amount to the last shot here in a tie game. Wildcats have come back from 10 down to tie this thing up here in the third quarter. Diggins at her shot, blocked by Horsch. Holt came up with it. It's a 3-on-1 going the other way. Horsch to the basket. Layup no good. Holt got it and put it back up and in. A 5-0 run. Lachey Holt all on her own. She's got 13 points and the Wildcats lead at a second left. Graves, 3, in and out. That's the end of the third quarter, and the Wildcats, who trailed by as many as 10, lead it by 2. Going into the last 10 minutes here from St. Paul, you're listening to Wildcat Basketball on TJSportsOnline.net. It's going to be a good fourth quarter. Keep it tuned right here from St. Paul. Well, are you ready for this one? A good fourth quarter coming your way from St. Paul. Which way is this thing going to go? I don't really know. They clear the fouls off of the board, and we go to the fourth. With 10 minutes to go here from St. Paul, Wildcats have the ball. Shea will set up the offense. Still haven't seen Audra Clark come back after that injury. Nice pass, Jennings for Horsch, who has struggled mightily shooting the basketball. Graves came up with it. She's surrounded by Wildcats and fouled by, I think, Shauna. No. Instead, Lachey Holt called for her third foul. First against the Wildcats here in the fourth quarter. Wildcats really need Audra out there. Looks like they've gotten that nosebleed under control. See how long Sean takes before he gets her back out there. They need her defense and her scoring in the worst possible way. She's really been their most solid and consistent player. Berman, 3. Lee late to close out. That's long. Rebound by Meg. Lost it out of bounds, but it was poked out of her hands by Diggins. That means it's St. Kate's ball. Holt for Lee. Wildcats holding on to that 2-point lead. Lachey Holt, 3 right at Berman. A 3 for Lachey Holt, who has gone on an 8-0 run all on her own. She has 16 points, and she has triggered a 5-point Wildcat lead. They trailed by as many as 10 in the third quarter. Berman nearly lost it and it's stripped away by Meg Clark. A turnover for the Pipers. Holt, nice pass. Horsch lays it in and one. She was fouled. Shauna Horsch to the free throw line, and the Pipers are reeling. They're down by 7. It's 48-41 with 8:56 to go here in the fourth quarter. And Shauna to the free throw line. But Sante back in. She'll call Berman over to the bench, and Shauna will go to the free throw line. And Hamline's going to take a timeout. This is a big-time run by the Wildcats, and it's been the Lachey Holt show, and they've been creating offense off of turnovers. 48-41 your score, 8:56 left in the fourth quarter. Wildcats suddenly in control in St. Paul. All right, well, Sean's going to stay with that same five of Horsch, Holtz, Meg Clark, Mari Lee, and Kennedy Jennings. We'll have Horsch on the free throw line trying to finish off a three-point play with the Wildcats leading at 48-41. Up by 7 points as the Pipers will send out Diggins, Bonsante, Bartak, Peterson, and Graves. Horsch does finish off the three-point play. She's got 8 points tonight, closing in on that 11-point average despite struggling for most of the first half. 8:50 left in the fourth quarter. Graves against Jennings. Jennings has held her down to just 5 points. Graves picked up by Lee, turned back outside Peterson. Now Bonsante, guarded tightly by Meg Clark, played on a switch by Jennings after the screen. Drives into a double team, puts it up. The shot no good, and a foul called against St. Kate's. We'll see if they caught Meg Clark or Jennings. It's going to be Clark called for her first foul and the second foul of the fourth quarter for St. Kate's. Reminder, folks, with this quarter breakdown as Bonsante goes to the line to shoot two, her first is no good. She's had a poor game by her standards. 72% free throw shooter, misses her first and has been stuck at 8 points on the afternoon. Her second shot, that's no good, and Bonsante goes 0 for 2. 49-41, 8:30 left. But Holt threw it right into Bonsante's hands, poked it back out, got it back, drives right by Graves to the basket and lays it up and in. Oh, Lachey Holt has been a demon for the Pipers here in the second quarter. She has been so good for St. Kate's, and they now lead it by 10 after trailing by as many as 10 in the third quarter. Bartak just knocked one down from 13 feet out for the Pipers. Bartak with 4 points. But it's 51-43. Holt into the lane. And before her shot, she was fouled by Diggins, her fourth foul for the junior out of Montevideo, Minnesota. And is that Audra going over to the scores table? No, instead it'll be Garcia coming in for Jennings. Holt in the paint, double team, tried to get it back outside to Meg Clark. It was deflected and stolen away by Graves. Pipers going the other way with it. Diggins, nifty move through two defenders and laid it up and off of the window. Yeah, Diggins goes the other way and scores it. We've got ourselves a 6-point game with 7:43 to go. Both of these teams need this game. Shea, long two. Why not? It's short. Bartok the rebound. Graves pressured in the backcourt, puts it up with the right hand, had nothing on it. Boy, if somebody could come the other way, they'd have picked that thing off and sent it the other way. Instead, they retreat and play defense. Driving to the basket, Peterson. Her shot was short. Might have been blocked by Lee. It was hard to tell from this vantage point. Holt, crossover dribble behind the back. Three, off. Rebound, Bonsante. Holt's got to back off and get back and play some defense. We've seen her commit those frustration fouls over the year. Did well to just back off, go and play some half-court D. 7 minutes left. Cats on top by 6. Good. Audra's coming in at the next whistle. We need her desperately. Diggins thought about a three. Horsch went flying by with her arms up. Diggins drove, lost it, but the Wildcats gave it right back to him as Bonsante comes up with the loose ball. That Garcia threw to her, and now Holt is going to be... No, Carrie Stockwell before Holt poked it away. Takes a timeout, and we'll talk things over with the Pipers. 6:44 left. Will the Cats hold on to the 6-point lead that they so earned on this comeback? We'll find out. You're watching Wildcat Basketball. Audra Clark comes back in. Wildcats will leave Garcia, Jennings, Horsch, and both of the Clarks on the floor. Get a breather for Shea and Mari Lee with 6:44 to go. I like this is a good defensive five right here. All 5 of these players can play some pretty good D. Graves picks up her dribble on the elbow. Got it to Berman, who's back in off of the bench. No dribbles before she defers to Bonsante. Peterson in the post. Back outside for Graves. Horsch closes out on her. Drives past her. Pulls it up from 12 feet out. Shot off. And rebound by Garcia. Graves has now struggled shooting in their last 2 games. The overtime loss against McAllister and now here today. In the OT loss, Graves was just 4 of 23. (51-45) the score. Wildcats on top. Clark had it handed off by Jennings. Lost it for a moment. Went around a screen, going to her right into the post. Had Peterson block her shot. Berman came up with it. She'll put her head down and charge it into the front court. Corner. Graves pulls the trigger on a 3 and knocked it down. Big shot for the Pipers. Cuts the lead to just 3. Chloe Graves, too devastating of a three-point shooter to be left open. That open late in a ball game in transition. 5:48 left. Down low, Garcia back up top now. Jennings. Garcia wanted no part of that ball. Instead, Jennings down low against Peterson. Little baby hook short. Jennings had it, lost the rebound. Bartok came up with it. Nobody's there for her, though. Berman was covered up by Lee, so she got it to Graves in the front court, who will set up the offense with 5:26 left in the fourth quarter. Graves for Bonsante. Horsch guarding her tightly. Bartok. Berman wanted it in the corner, didn't get it. Peterson just beyond the free throw line. Misses on the J and rebound by Shauna Horsch, going the other way with it. Wildcats with the ball and the lead. Audra Clark now for Meg. Kennedy into the corner. Alexis around a screen. Horsch thought about a 3. Instead drives with the left hand. Had it poked away by Graves. Got it back. Pinned underneath the basket. Somehow got it to Kennedy for Audra now. Back to Meg. 3 is short. Boy, the Wildcats just cannot buy a three-pointer to save their lives right now. Will they find a big one? Holt knocked down the big one late in the third quarter. It's going to take 1 or 2 more of those to close this thing out with 4:38 to go. Pipers can tie it with a 3. That's where they'll go into the corner. Graves is wide open, and she missed. Boy, a fortunate break there for the Wildcats, and on the rebound, a jump ball as Bartak got tied up. But they're going to call Horsch for the foul. Goodness, she was called for reaching in. No jump ball, instead 4th foul. Oh, they gave it to Garcia instead of Horsch. So Horsch still with 3 fouls. Garcia has that many as well. And it's Hamline's ball, trailing by 3 with 4:27 left here in the fourth quarter. Bonsante comes around a screen wide open. Horsch couldn't close her out, and she knocked it down. Tie ball game with 4:18 left. Chelsea Bonsante with 11 points, 28% three-point shooter, but she found a way to squeeze that one through. Clark drives, dishes. Horsch, 3 off the left side. Short. Clark tips the rebound under Green, tied up by Shauna. Jump ball. And it's Piper's basketball. They have the possession arrow. Wildcats tried to answer Bonsante's 3 with one of their own. Couldn't do it, despite Horsch getting a pretty clean open look. Graves will call out play 2, Deuce, as she barks out to her teammates. Green. Bartok harassed by Lachey Holt, who's back into the ball game, along with both of the Clarks, Horsch and Jennings. They'll play defense now. Graves down low for Green. Jennings nearly picked her pocket, but batted it out to Berman, who chased it down. 6 on the shot clock. Bonsante, long 3 over Clark. She knocked it down again, held her hands high in the air with the number 3. Her middle ring and pinky finger in the air as she puts the Pipers on top by 3. The Wildcats led by as many as 10. Now they're down 3. Jennings drives, kicks into the corner now. Audra dribbles into a double team, hands it off for Horsch, goes underneath the basket and was fouled. Layup no good, but 2 shots upcoming for Horsch. 14 points for Chelsea Bonsante, and back-to-back three-pointers were huge for the Pipers, putting them up by 3. Artek was just called for her 4th foul. Shauna to the free throw line. First shot is good. Horsch shoots at 68% on the season. Audra Clark will come in for Mari Lee. Big free throw here for Shauna, and she goes 1 of 2. Second shot comes up short. It's a 2-point game. 3:13 to go. The Wildcats have been good all season long at closing out tight games late. Pipers couldn't finish off McAllister in overtime in their MIAC opener. Artak Guarded by Holt, harassed by Holt, picks up her dribble in the corner, got it to Green. Extra pass Bonsante for Horsch, leaning in from 14 feet out, and an offensive foul. She ran over Clark. Her floater hit the mark, but before that a charge. Bonsante called for the offensive foul for the junior out of Ironton, Minnesota. That's her first foul, and trailing by 2, the Wildcats will get the ball. It's the 4th foul against the Pipers here in the 4th quarter. Peterson back in, Green to the bench. They can wait no more. Peterson gets her breather. It'll be her last. Lee, left side, Jennings with it. Shauna, guarded tightly by Bonsante. Top of the key, Lee, Jennings, as the Pipers come out to defend her. Horsch, left-hand side wing, drives, kicks. Lee would have been wide open for a 3, but instead passes it off for Jennings. 7 seconds on the shot clock. Shauna, baseline drive with the left hand, back outside Jennings. Extra pass, Lee. Now Holt, top of the key. 3-pointer on the way, long, and went off of the top of the backboard, out of bounds. Hamline's ball, leading by 2 at 2:15 to go from the Butler Center. Again, though, the 3-point shot, which has been problematic this year for St. Kate's, just we're not able to knock down that 3-pointer late in the shot clock. We've seen some open looks. Shea, Clarks, Horsch. We just haven't been able to find our mark on those. Wildcats trailed by as many as 10 in the second quarter, led in the third quarter, led by as many as 10, and now trailed by 2. A back and forth seesaw affair. Bonsante, another 3. It's her 3rd 3-pointer of the 4th quarter, and it's a 5-point Piper lead. Holt goes the other way with it. After Bonsante's 3, she now has 17 points. A turnover stolen away. Bonsante going the other way with it. Pass Graves. Short deuce from 4 feet out. She puts the Pipers on top by 7 points. 90 seconds left now. Holt with the basketball. Lee. Graves has 10 points after she put the Pipers up by 7. 20 seconds left on the shot clock. Holt drives into the lane, and her shot blocked by Peterson. And Graves has the rock. Wildcats need to press. Holt tried to poke it away from Graves, but was called for the foul. 4th against St. Kate's. And Sean Pinkerton wants a timeout. It's the 4th foul against Horsch. Both teams with 4 fouls. We'll keep you here in St. Paul. This has been a tremendous ball game, but right now it looks like the Pipers are in good position to get the better end of it. We'll keep you here. Boy, Chelsea Bonsante, 3 3-pointers here in the 4th quarter. She's been the difference on this one. She has been absolutely scorching hot. And she really struggled for the whole game, but sometimes it's just hard to keep scorers down. She averages 20 points a game, or 19.2 points per game. She's now got 17 just like that. So she's right about on her season average. And I know that was one thing at halftime as I looked at this game. You're just worried, when will Graves and Bonsante catch fire? And they've done that here in the 4th quarter. 59-52. Hamline with the basketball. Wildcats will need to pressure and then start fouling. Not much pressure, though. Berman picked up by Clark. Now both Clarks surround her, and she's called for the foul. Now, before that, Stockwell, head coach for the Pipers, got a timeout in with 1:07 left. So timeout Pipers, 59-52. So Carrie Stockwell gets a timeout for the Pipers. They'll keep the basketball with 1:07 left here from the Butler Center in St. Paul. Matt Nelson alongside of Glenn Thompson. 4th quarter action. Chelsea Bonsante and Chloe Graves have keyed the Pipers to come from behind and lead by 7 points. Graves ahead into the front court. No, now she put on the brakes. Got it to Bonsante. Boy, Peterson was wide open underneath the basket. They missed her. Berman now Bonsante. The Wildcats need to foul. Berman for Peterson. Holt, good passing by the Pipers. There's 4 seconds on the shot clock. Bonsante along 2. Rattled in and out. Jennings has the ball, and Sean wants a timeout. 43 seconds left. Wildcats down by 7. They play good defense, force the miss, get the ball back. Now can they score their way back into this one? Defense and scoring. The path to victory and a comeback here for St. Kate's. 2 experienced head coaches. Sean Pinkerton in his 4th season. Carrie Stockwell, her 6th. Both coaches will send their teams back out. The Wildcats can advance the basketball. They do that. That's part of the new rule changes with the quarters format. So Sean advances the ball into the front court. Wildcats need to move quickly. Holt against Berman. Shauna has it on the right-hand side wing. Horsch, couple of dribbles. Guarded by Bonsante, and she's fouled as Bonsante went reaching in. That's a 5th foul against the Pipers, and that means 2 shots with the clock stopped, as that's bonus time now for St. Kate's. 2nd foul against Bonsante means 2 shots for Horsch. Good situation. Clock stopped. Chance to score. First shot is good for Horsch. She's got 10. Second shot rattles down. It's a 5-point lead. 59-54. Pipers. Peterson. Got it back for Bonsante. Horsch kicked it right out of her hands, and that'll stop the clock. It's a kicked ball by Horsch. Hamline retains the possession with 30 seconds left to play. Intriguing possibilities here late in this game, but essentially St. Kate's has to start fouling. Ball comes in. Oh, Graves, they lost her. Graves to the basket, and Shea tied her up and gave her a foul. Graves gave her a nice little tap back as Lachey wrapped her in a big bear hug underneath the basket. It's the 5th foul against Shea. She's done. So Shea fouls out. She was big late in the 3rd quarter. She fouls out here with 18 points and 26 seconds left in the 4th quarter. Graves to the free throw line. Good free throw shooter as Lee comes in. Graves shoots 75%. First shot is nothing but net for Graves. She's got 11. Wrong person to have on the free throw line here if you're the Wildcats, 75%. But on that inbounds pass, the defense had lost Graves. And she goes 2 for 2. She's got a dozen, and Sean takes a timeout again to advance the ball. 61-54. A 7-point lead with 26 seconds left. It would take a bizarre scenario for the Wildcats to complete this comeback. Glenn, you just asked off of the air, how do you win this? It's hard. A couple of 3-pointers and some missed free throws is really the only path to victory. They're going to foul off of makes, but really the only way to win would be either that or a pass that came in after, say the Wildcats come down and make a 3-pointer right here, and it takes 5 seconds, so 21 seconds left, and Hamline makes a bad pass coming in, you pick it off, you lay it up, you just scored 5 points. Well, you know, you still got 18 seconds left in the game, you're only down 1. Well, now it's a game. But it's a tall task, but it can be done. Stranger things have happened. Unlikely would be an accurate phrase. Well said there, engineer Glenn. You know what? You have a lot of phrases. Why don't you just take this headset? I'll go home and I'll eat dinner. I don't want to miss the end of this game, though. This could be good stuff. As the sun sets in St. Paul. Yep, right about that time, 4:35 in the Central Time Zone. 26 seconds left here in the 4th quarter. It'll be triggered in by Meg Clark right in front of the Wildcat bench. She gets it into her sister Audra around a screen. Horsch thinks about a 3. This is already taking too long. Shauna into the post, lays it up in and off of the window. 19 seconds left. It's 61-56. Pass comes into Graves. Audra pressures, needs to foul, gets it. 16 seconds left. leading by 5. Graves will come down to the free throw line and shoot 2. The junior guard out of Denver with a chance to pad that Piper lead late here in the fourth quarter. First shot's good. 13 now for Graves. And she can make it, this is a crucial free throw. Right now, 2 threes tie it. She can make it a 3-possession game. And she does knock it down, 7-point lead. And a timeout again, Wildcats. 16 seconds to go. It's 63-56. We'll break. You're listening to Wildcat basketball from the fourth quarter from St. Paul. 63-56 your score. Pipers will look to defend their 7-point lead with 16 seconds left. St. Kate's with the basketball. They need a miracle here to pull off this comeback. Audra, guarded by Bartak, lost it, got it for Lee. Just 10 seconds left now. Audra, three-pointer, that's long. Rebound, Horsch got it, will go up with it, and was fouled. She'll go to the free throw line, but just too much time came off the clock. 5 seconds left, 5.9 seconds. Shauna to the free throw line, but that 7-point lead now appearing just about insurmountable. Horsch free throw is no good. And the second shot is down for Shauna. It's a 6-point lead, 5 seconds to go. Bartak for Graves. And Sean, the white flag comes out. He says no foul, and that's all she wrote from St. Paul. 63-57 is your final score. Boy, Chelsea Bonsante was just too much for the Wildcats here in the fourth quarter. As your final score is 63-57. The Wildcats have lost 2 in a row. They're now 5-2 on the season, 0-2 in the MIAC. The upcoming schedule for St. Kate's, they will be on the road taking on Carleton and then St. Thomas as well in the 9th and 12th, respectively. 7 and 3 o'clock tip-offs for those games before taking on Northwestern of St. Paul. And then taking the long holiday break from the 19th to the 6th of January for Hamline and the Pipers. They are now 2-5 on the season with wins over St. Kate's and Crown, and they are 1-1 in the MIAC. Bonsante, three three-pointers in the fourth quarter. Graves had a big bucket as well to put the Pipers on top big, and they never looked back. This one hurts. Wildcats led it by 10 in the third quarter after trailing by that many in the ball game. Both teams led it by 10, but in the end, the Hamline Pipers win it by 6. With that, we roll the credits on today's broadcast. Glenn Thompson's been our engineer, doing a great job for us as always. Sarah Eisenhower with Athletic Communications. Eric Stacy is the athletics director here at St. Catherine University. We can't forget head coach Sean Pinkerton as well. With that, we will step aside. We will talk again a week from today as the Wildcats host St. Thomas and the Tommies, a 3 o'clock tip-off in that one. We hope you'll enjoy your week, and we'll talk again to you a week from now. Again, 3 o'clock. As the Wildcats host the Tommies. So for Glenn, I'm Matt signing off. Enjoy your week and your holiday seasons as we say, go Wildcats. Today the Pipers win 63-57.